everybody. A warm welcome to Wisdom from North, the Nordic platform for accelerated inner growth and empowerment. I'm Jannike, and today I'm super excited to be here with Anja Vintov again. Anja is an internationally acclaimed teacher and author, and she has been studying flow, fear, and courage for more than 20 years. And she has inspired thousands of people to create better lives for themselves. She's also one of our masterclass teachers in Wisdom from North membership, where she's holding the class, the 4-phase flow cycle. Now, today we're going to dive into self-love and self-care, because we have teamed up with Anja. We're going to have a free live event that's called the Flow of Self-Love, because we think it's a really important topic. And Anja is going to share how you can cultivate more care for yourself, more self-love, and how that can actually change your life. So you can read all about this live event in the links below, and I urge you to come. I really hope to see you there. If you cannot make it live, sign up anyway, and you will get the replay. Now over to you, Anja. A warm welcome. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
I'm really excited about the free event we're going to put up. Yeah, because this is a topic that I'm passionate about, I've been speaking about, and when I understood that you're passionate about it as well, then I was like, okay, why don't we create something around this? Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, like, I know why I care so much about self-love and how that, like, having focus on it, waking up to the importance of it has changed my life. Yeah. From, being a depressed woman, not knowing that I needed to love myself, and then actually training myself and opening up my heart to myself. Yeah. So I know why it's important to me, but why are you so passionate about teaching your students about self-love?
I think the most important thing for me, and that I have learned in my life, is that self-judgment is toxic in so many ways. And I have been judging myself in so many ways growing up. And I've been, that kind of person who was always considerate about how other people felt or what they needed and how I could be of service and how I could help. And I was always rushing to everyone's aid whenever they needed anything. But I was not actually producing any love for me. And that became kind of a turning point in my late 20s, because I've just been running on no oxygen or no fuel, actually, just trying to be a good girl, trying to make everyone actually just care for me and love me, but I just forgot to do it towards myself. So yeah, for me, I'm also excited about it because it is really intertwined with the ability to create flow on purpose. So actually a lot of reasons. And one of the biggest is also that it is crucial to our well-being. It is absolutely crucial to our vitality that we are able to deliver, you could say, love to ourselves on a daily basis.
Yeah, let's dive deeper into that, because why is it so important? This is something that some people speak a lot about. Other people are not even aware that it is a thing. Some people think it's egoistic, which we might speak about as well. But tell us, why is it so important that we actually create a conscious relationship to self-love, or, start caring about ourselves?
Well, you can say you live in a body. We live in a body. A body has certain needs. And if we want to start loving ourselves more, we need to go way back to the basics, to what some people call self-care. What do I need? When do I need it? How do I need it? So every little signal from our bodies from day to day, hour to hour, actually, is always telling us what we need. And you are, or I am, we're the only one who can feel our inside. So I'm the only one who can really know, who really knows how I'm best taken care of. No one else can tell me that. So if we're willing to really listen carefully and acting upon the signals that we get from our bodies, really thickening that bond between me and me, then life changes, because otherwise we are expecting everyone else to figure out what we need, discovering if we have a boundary that needs to be set. We're just handing over our power to other people. So it's so important that we stay connected to our bodies, because that's the way, that's our source actually, in which we can let the self-love flow. But self-love has some steps to it. And I like to start with self-care, because self-care is kind of, it's a practical thing for many people. So getting back to the basics actually, and at first. And then when we know how to take care of ourselves, when we know how to get enough sleep, how to get whatever nutrition we need, when we know how to set boundaries, when we know how to take a nap, if that's what we need, then that is an act of love, because actually that is what we would do if we had a child. Then we would take care of that child in that way. So taking care of the basic needs is so simple and so dull. Actually, many people think, oh my God, I know that, but that's not the same as doing it. So really getting down to the nitty-gritty part of taking care of yourself on a daily basis starts with the self-care, extreme self-care.
If you would define self-love, like imagine people out there are wondering, like, I don't know if I love myself. I don't know if I take care of myself. Like, how do you define somebody, or how do you define self-love? And how can we know if we actually are taking care of ourselves and loving ourselves?
Yeah, you can say that self-love is an appreciation of oneself. Do I appreciate who I am, what I am, how I feel, what I want, what I desire, what I don't want? Can I be appreciative about those things? So it's an appreciation of the very human being that you are, with everything. Also the parts of ourselves that we are not very fond of, or not have very high regards about, but can we really cultivate an appreciation of the very human being that we are? That is what I will call self-love. And then that's one thing. And then how to put it into action is another.
Is there like a limit to how much we can love ourselves? Because actually, I mentioned this to a family member, and that family member said, well, you can't have too much of it, because then it will tip over and become very narcissistic and egoistic. And I was like, I know Anna is going to disagree with that.
Yeah. Because the funny thing is that if you say, if you just get rid of the self in that sentence and just say, can you have enough love, or too much love? Can you have too much love? No, you can't have too much love. But the problem is that a lot of us are not habituated or used to being loved very much. I mean, really loved. A lot of us don't know what that means. So that is why we get so scared of turning up the volume on love, right? Because, oh my God, then what will happen? What will they think of me, all the others? And it's important to understand what we are actually afraid of then. And when was it a family member or someone who said, yeah, so what are we afraid of? If we start loving ourselves too much, we're afraid of getting too egoistic. And if we get too self-centered or egoistic, then what will happen? Oh, then other people might reject us. Oh, so in the end, we were afraid of getting rejected. So we rather reject ourselves so we don't get rejected from others. Right? So that is why we're afraid of turning that volume up and start really taking care of ourselves.
And I love that you're going to speak about that in the webinar, right? Rejection, because it's such a huge thing. It's such a thing we all are struggling with, I think.
So we rather go around depriving ourselves from, I mean, just day-to-day basic things like a good night's sleep or a good nap or whatever, or good food or whatever it is. And then just try to be noble and do whatever we can for everyone else. And it's so imbalanced. It always gets imbalanced at certain point. So yeah, so no, I don't think that we can love ourselves too much, but we can love ourselves too much in a regard that we forget about other people. And it's all about balance. So if we get too caught up in ourselves, then yes, then there is an imbalance. And you could call that narcissism. You can call it a lot of other things, but I think it's very important not to go down that road, because I experienced that many people don't know how to love themselves, don't know how to take care of themselves, and then they expect other people to do it. And that causes so many conflicts and misunderstandings and very difficult relationships, actually, because we expect other people to give us what we're not able to give ourselves.
I feel maybe this is just a sense that narcissism is more about actually lack of self-love. That is just a misunderstanding about that. It is like the ego has become too big, while love, I think, is more coming from a heart, more the soul part of us, not so much the ego part. Can you share a bit what you are going to share in the free video event? I know you're going to have exercise and...
Yeah, and I actually made some notes about it so I wouldn't forget, because we will talk about how to start caring deeply for yourself, how to, wherever you are on the scale, how much you love yourself now, it can always grow deeper. And then why and how the self-love formula is ingrained in our very core, I mean, in every human being. We will explore that as well, and why it sometimes pisses people off, because, you know, you can look at some girl or guy or whatever who's really just thriving, and if you're not thriving yourself, you can get a little pissed off. We'll get into that as well, and also the fear of getting too egoistic. I feel strongly about the ego. I think it's very important that we love that as well. It's very important that we understand that the ego is also a part of us that needs attention, because otherwise, it can run a little bit wild if we let it. But it's very important not to put it in a corner, I think. And there is a little tendency to that, I think, in certain areas of.
So join us. I would love for you to be there. Just sign up below. It's totally free. And also, I wanted to speak some more, because I know that you've studied fear, flow, and courage. So are these linked, would you say? Like, because these are three topics that you really dived into, but now you're going to speak a lot about self-love, and that's your passion these days. So how are these going together? Do we need to be courageous, for instance, to have self-love?
Well, that depends on who you are. For some people, it takes courage to start caring for themselves, because if they have learned that that is not good, to be so concerned about your own well-being, then it takes some courage to step out of that comfort zone. You will have to deal with some uncomfortable feelings if you want to begin taking good care of yourself. So it depends on really on where you are and who you are. But we can always up the scale, right? For self-love and self-care. But so for me, it's linked together. When we are to do something else in our lives and we want to do something more than we used to, then new feelings will arise. And if we're not being okay with discomfort, then we will fall back and we will continue doing what we used to do.
Okay, that's interesting. If we're not okay with discomfort.
Yeah, I used to call it just being comfortable with discomfort.
Okay.
That is important, because we can learn so many things. We can dive into so many theories, blah 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 blah. But the one important thing for every human being is to be okay with the feelings and whatever is going on inside of us. If we are not okay with feeling discomfort, then we can't expand our comfort zone.
You're also saying we can have almost anything in life if we dare to be ourselves.
And what I mean by that is that when we dare to be whatever we are, which, by the way, can vary. I mean, we're not a fixed person. We're not a fixed human being. I mean, I can need and be something today, and maybe tomorrow I'm in another mood or my energy has changed. So first of all, when we're allowing ourselves to be who we are on a daily basis, just following that energy flow, then we are connected to a deeper truth, and it's much easier to open up to life and then collect the things that we want to use going forward, or open up to possibilities and stuff. One thing is certain is that if we run on fear mostly, we are shut off from sources of vitality and love and all that juicy stuff. And then it's difficult to go after whatever you want to be, do, or have in life. So when I say you can have almost anything, I mean, if you dare to explore who you are, you already have everything. If that makes sense. So, right? Because it's not something we don't have to chase anything outside of ourselves, actually. I find it so funny to feel like over the years, the more okay I am with who I am, and the more I love being who I am, the less I feel like chasing stuff or going after stuff, or even ambitions has changed. It's a much more calm state, actually.
Yeah, what are your ambitions now? Like how have they changed?
Yeah, they have changed because I'm actually, it's not, I think it's about a few months ago, I was like, okay, so what now? Because I wrote the books and I got the children and I started the company, and I've done the things that I never thought would be possible for me. I was actually, I don't think I had that high thoughts about myself when I was growing up. So I've actually done all the stuff that I wanted. So now it's paying attention again. What arises now? It's not, oh, then this. No, I'm actually listening to the subtle signals. Do I want to go this way or that way, or whatever is calling my attention, or whatever I feel inspired to do. So it's much less forced, if you can call it that.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And also it's because the fear is not, I mean, calling it the shots any longer. So that makes a difference as well.
We're going to wrap up soon. I just had a question in my mind popping in here. So what if there's someone out there thinking, well, Anja, this sounds so great to love myself, but I have constantly negative thoughts about myself, like this voice telling me I'm worth nothing. And it, no matter how much I'm like talking back, it just still coming, keep coming.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Then I would say show up on Tuesday when we have the free webinar, because I will give some hacks there on how to quiet the mind a little bit and entering the body space instead. Because if there's too much going on up here, there is too little going on, or we're cut off to whatever is going on down here or in the rest of the body. And I will say it's totally normal to have these kind of attack thoughts that kind of keep repeating themselves. And there are ways to dive into a more calm space that is already there in everybody, not only yours or mine. In everybody, there is a calm space. And we need to be able to enter that room within ourselves in order to quiet down the negative thoughts, and just resisting the thoughts just make them grow stronger. So we need to work with the process of releasing resistance towards whatever is going on in our minds. And it's yeah, I mean, there's so many young people today running around with big heads and a lot of worry and a lot of thoughts that are not very lovable. So that is also why I think it's so important that we grown-ups know how really to love ourselves, so we can be great role models for the younger generations.
Yes, I think it's super important that we share those tools. It's just about having those tools, knowing what to do with it when it arises, and that we're not alone, and that there is something to do with it, and we can work with it.
Yeah, just to remember that this system, our body, is trainable. I mean, we've learned to walk and talk and sing and dance and whatever. So of course we can learn to quiet down the mind as well. Of course we can learn to love ourselves more. Of course we can learn to take much better care of ourselves. Of course we can do that because we have the tools to do it already. So we have everything right here.
And that was actually what helped me out of a depression. And I know a friend of mine who had anxiety. It was what helped her with anxiety as well. So self-love is like this cure for a lot of things, I think.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Well, lovely. Thank you so much, Anja. I'm so excited about the webinar, and maybe we'll do an encore as well. And I would love for you guys to be there. All the details are in the link below. So sign up, it's totally free. And if you cannot make it, I will send you the replay. Thank you so much, Anja, and I'll see you soon.
Yes, bye.
And thank you for watching, everybody, and much light from Norway and Denmark. Bye-bye.
Bye.